Hello, guys, and welcome to a new episode of Real Talk. Another video for you on YouTube. Today, we've got an interesting one. We're on the international break, and I wanted to record something for you guys. But with Madrid, I was like, there's nothing going on right now until we start. Of course, the football comes back later on this week. But I thought, I have some things I can do. And I went back to my friends here at Tearmaker, shout out to them, and I said I wanted to rank something about football, but what better to rank? And I was going to do this a little bit later, but I thought it's best I do it now because I really wanted to do this one. And that is ranking, as you can see on the screen, the Ballon d'Or winners of our time. Now, of course, there have been so many Ballon d'Or winners, and to start ranking all of them would just be damn nearly too long a video to do here on YouTube. I myself would sleep halfway through this. It would be a live stream, not a YouTube video. Just some of my humor. Sorry. But I thought I would rank all the ones of the 2000s because at least I have some context for those from 2002 when I was born, which I will not review. But I'm just kidding. I was born 2007, guys. I'm 18. Yeah, I'm a kid. Me, minimal. I've said it multiple times with the same age. 2007 to 2000, my context of my years. Maybe even up to, let's say, 2010, when I turned like 3. And because I could understand the game and the love I had for the game when I was 4. That's why I've said 2010. Because when I just watched the 2011 season in that bed next to my parents as I was writing down my second grade notes, I could understand the beauty of what I was watching. I knew Real Madrid were the best club in the world, and I knew the best players in the world. I'm just kidding, guys. I started understanding football maybe about 2013. Yeah, I was like 6. So yeah, that's when I started understanding properly. But I have some context. I built it down. I did some research of the players. I did put for this ranking the stats of each year that this player had, and maybe some accolades they had that season, just so that you people for the stats can understand why they had it that year, and my ranking, and also some context just to help them with their ranking. So it wouldn't be a tier list without me explaining what our tiers are. And of course, the top tier there is legendary. What does this mean? This is the S tier of this list. This is the cream of the cream. They had a legendary season. They were legendary in that season. They performed legendary. They had some legendary stats, some of them in that season. It was an overall undeniably great year, and they were just the one. This was right down in the history books type of Ballon d'Or season. Its brother, on the other hand, who just has maybe a peg less in my opinion, but is still crazy and amazing, is the second tier. Undeniable. These players in this tier, they, personally for me, they were just undeniable. You could not deny them the Ballon d'Or for that season because they were undeniably the best and greatest player of that season, bar some even in the world at that time. The third one, it's a little bit squashed there and like halved, but you can see it says international season or broke records. So for this season, these players, they had an amazing, a very, very historic international campaign with their country in that season, or they broke some sort of records. Let that be defensive, goalkeepers, attacking, scoring, assisting, football that played that season. They were amazing. They were not undeniable. They could have probably been some arguments here and there, but they were not legendary because it was not the most historically defining, but they did have an amazing international season, or they broke some sort of records that helped push them to that Ballon d'Or, the final step, and that's where I'll be putting them. The fourth one is great year. These players, they were amazing for that year. They were spectacular. They played beautiful football. They had great stats. They had some good football here and there. They did some great things. They won some good things in that trophy. They had a great year. The final one, and I opted not to do an S, A, B, C, F tier type of ranking, but the reason for that is because I don't believe anyone would be an F tier Ballon d'Or winner. I would say, saying that in the history book, some people might say putting this guy as the Ballon d'Or winner of that year or that season maybe diminishes how the football as a whole would look that year. I can hear that out if you say it in the right context, that if you put this guy and said this guy was the best player of the 2002 football that was played that season, it may not shine the best light if someone went back and watched what they did, but I still don't believe you can say anyone was like a fraudulent Ballon d'Or winner. I do believe in controversial Ballon d'Ors. For whatever reason you want to say, a Ballon d'Or could be controversial, but it's the same thing with the PR push that we've started hearing nowadays, in the sense that the PR can only push a good player to become a great player. The PR can't push a useless player, useless in the most kind sense, of course. I feel everyone who plays professional football has somewhat a great level of skill. But when I say useless, it's in the context that they're not even fathomably a top crop. They can't push a useless player and call him the best player in the world, because this is gonna hurt your credibility as a media or as a system or as a club, whoever's pushing them, as a fan base. So the PR can push someone good, someone who may be great, and push them to amazing, push them to historically great. They can push who can I say? I'm trying to think of a player at the top of my head. They can get someone like Lukaku, who in my opinion is an underrated striker. He has some good production. He may have his moments where he doesn't look as world class as some people might talk about, and he has done some things in his career, like football wise, that didn't help his case. He's had some very bad seasons. He coasts by sometimes, but for me, he's an underratedly great striker. A peer can push someone like him and tell you he's in like the top 30 strikers of all time. May not be true to some people, but it can be seen. What they're not going to do is take someone like Mariano Diaz, who played for Real Madrid, and tell you that guy was a greater number 7 than Cristiano Ronaldo, because there's just like there's literally no fathomably sane way of quantumizing that sentence, of tying up that sentence, of putting it together and saying that it's true. That doesn't make sense. That's what I'm talking about when I say there's no fraudulent. Ballon d'Or winners. So that's just why I want to put some context. That's why the fifth one says seasons context matters. These guys in that season, how they played, what they did, how the season as a whole played out, helped them cheer on to that Ballon d'Or. Not that they were bad, they were just like maybe not the greatest, in short. So with that, explanation of the tiers in place, let's not waste any time. Without further ado, let's get into ranking the Ballon d'Or champions from the year 2000 to the big 2025. But for those of you who do not know, because some of these are very familiar repeating faces, of course we know the two we were repeating almost like 15 times. Some of these for you younger people who may be watching my channel, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, please share and comment down your thoughts at the end of each ranking. You may not know some of these guys here, these people you see before Cristiano Ronaldo here in 2008. 2000, Luis Figo was our champion. 2001, Michael Owen. 2002, Ronaldo Nazario. Not this one, Ronaldo Nazario. 2003 was Pavel Nedved. 2004 was Shevchenko. 2005 there, you probably know this guy, it's Ronaldinho. 2006, this is Fabio Cannavaro, for those of you who do not know. And 2007, I think you should know this guy, it's Ricardo Kaká. For some of you who don't know this guy over here in 2008, I'm just kidding, everybody. Anyway, so let's get to it and start with 2000, and that is none other than Luis Figo, Mr. Controversial himself. Why I say that is because that's one of the things that, helped him be known, like pushed out into the world scene that season. It's because this was the season where he made the infamous transfer, the one that broke the news, the one that changed the world of football memeing and context breaking. To this day, I still see memes and stories about this guy. Luis Figo had made the transfer from Barcelona to Real Madrid. He went to the white side. He went to the right side. Some might even say, not that I'm not tying those two. I'm not tying those two sentences. One ended with a full stop. The other one continued. Please do not make any tying there. But he did go to Real Madrid from Barcelona, a controversial move that Barcelona fans to this day will still hate this man for. They hated him. They threw pigs' heads at him. They threw cash at him, like fake money, because they were saying that he's, going for the money. They just hated this guy. But he did have an amazing season in 2000. What did he do that season? He won the La Liga, and he reached the Champions League semi-final with Real Madrid. Indeed, it meant that this signing from Florentino Perez, as he promised, this guy was a big player, best player, I'm going to sign him. He got him, and it proved fruitful. This guy ended with 14 goals and 20 assists that season. A very spectacular season, a very amazing season, in my opinion. So for Luis Figo, where am I going to put Figo? I think the one place I can truly put this guy in, the one tier I can truly put this guy in, for me, would be a great year. This guy had an amazing year. I can't deny it. You can't deny it. Everyone can say it. If I put him in some of the higher ones, maybe doesn't make too much sense there. But putting him in the season's context, it's a 50-50 on that one. He can bar both, but I'll put him in great year. The next one is Michael Owen. In 2001, this guy won the FA Cup. This guy won the League Cup. This guy won the UEFA Cup. He had a treble. This guy had a triple this season. We have to keep that into context. But why is it that when I was doing my research and asking around some of the like research, some of my friends who were like older than me who've watched football, even asking some of my uncles, asking some people online, like it came up that this guy's Ballon d'Or just wasn't right. It just didn't feel like he was a deserving, like overarching Ballon d'Or figure. Then you see it says from some people who say that. Others did say this guy deserved the Ballon d'Or, but was he legendary? No, it wasn't a legendary season, to be honest. Was he undeniable? Some people even deny that he should have won it. International season and broke records, didn't do that. A great year, we can look at it there, but unfortunately for him, he did have 28 goals and 6 assists, which is amazing, by the way. But for me, I'm going to put this Michael Owen Ballon d'Or in 2001. Season's context matters. Season's context matters for this Ballon d'Or. Not that it's bad, but when you look at the season, it can help you understand. I hope you guys know what this tier means. If you don't like it, put an F tier there if you want it. I'm not going to put it on F tier on that because I can't say it's F tier. If I had to rank it with the letters, I would put S, A, B, C, D so that it's no F. It's just a D ranking. Okay, 2002, we had Ronaldo Nazario, the Brazilian legend, the phenomenal. This guy was at the top of his game, guys. In 2002, this guy was in his bag. This is the definition of you are in your bag. Why do I say that? This guy had 30 goals and 7 assists that season. He won the World Cup with Brazil. He had the golden boot and set the record for the most goals scored in a World Cup tournament in 2002, where he scored 8 goals in that tournament. So imagine winning the World Cup and ending the top scorer. We've seen it be done, right? We saw it with we saw it with Klose in 2014. Unfortunately, Messi was actually about to touch that. If Mbappe just didn't score that last penalty, Messi was going to have that joint record with these people, having a World Cup and being the top scorer in that World Cup. But as you can see from Messi's here, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy. Sometimes people forget that having 6 goals in a World Cup tournament is amazing because it's a, I'm not going to say it because of that, but it's a particularly small number of games you play. You play 3 group stage games, then you play your round of 16, quarterfinal, semifinal, final. You play 7 games. And he had 8 goals in those 7 games, which means he had a goal per game and average like 1.1 something goals per game. Because, you score 1 in every game and maybe score 2 in the final. That's an example of what he did. This guy was amazing that season. And it's for that reason why I'm going to put Ronaldo Nazario 2002 in internationally great season. You know what? I think I'll make it, instead of sounding international season, I'll say internationally, great season. Yes. So now it says internationally great season or broke records. And that is where I'm going to put his Ballon d'Or for me. The next one is 2003. And that is Pavel Nedved. This guy had 14 goals and 15 assists. He won the Serie A and he ended in the final of the Champions League. This guy had an amazing season this year. This guy is one of those who, when I was going through the Ballon d'Or people, I always forget. When I'm like listing the people who I know won Ballon d'Ors in their years, I always forget about Nedved's season. But when I went back and watched the highlights, you guys should go watch it. This guy was the best player of that season. This guy was good. This guy was great in that season. But of course, I don't think he was the cream of the cream. I think he reminded me of someone who I've ranked here. And that is Luis Figo. For me, Pavel Nedved, this guy's Ballon d'Or, this guy had a great / amazing year to win that Ballon d'Or. 2004, we had Shevchenko. This guy had amazing, all of these guys had amazing. You hear this a lot. This guy had an amazing season, but his was just special. This guy had 32 goals and 8 assists. He was the top scorer of the Serie A in a season, no time where the Serie A was one of the best. It still has that in its roots, of course, but this was true Serie A being at its top defensive power. The league, scoring in that league, it wasn't easy. They were going in Europe and having teams concede, having some teams that conceded 0 goals in 3 games straight. They were on a run. These guys were amazing. And this guy dropped 32 goals and had 8 assists. This guy had an amazing year for me. And personally, I'm going to put him, just like I said, he had an amazing year, right next to his friend. In line with Pavel Nedved, this guy had a great year in 2004. 2005. This is now the season that most people know because you know what happened this season. You know the context of how great this guy was in that season. You know, ironically, how after he won it, he said that I'm actually not the best player in the world. It's the guy who we're going to get to in a minute. Some might even say that was just God speaking through him, if you believe in that, because it proved to be the greatest like betting statement, like hot take I've ever heard, and that is Mr. Ronaldinho Gaucho. I'm not even doing this for to sound like I'm Brazilian, but you know when I say this guy's name, I feel like I have to say like that because whenever you think of Ronaldinho Gaucho, you think I'm saying it Italian, but it's Brazilian. It's Ronaldinho Gaucho, but this guy is football flair. This guy, you know, we talk about it now. If Lamine Yamal, maybe sometimes Desiree Doué, a lot of these techie players, Saint Maximin, you know, we have a lot of these players, Jeremy Doku, these like techie guys, these guys who like Riyad Mahrez type, Angel Di Maria type. They just know how to they have that fluid. Their legs, their leg bones are like noodles. They know how to flap it. You know, they got that skill factor about them, and they trace some of these new age ones, trace it back to Neymar Jr., the origin, the original of this new gen, the real wonder kid, the real skills guy, the real flair genius, the real guy with the style, the swag, you know, that Brazilian blood. But before Neymar, they was the guy who Neymar was inspired by. And that is none other than one of, if not just for some, the greatest Brazilian ever. Comment down your thoughts, by the way. I want to see if you guys can comment down. Who is your favorite Brazilian player? Who do you think is the best Brazilian player of all time? Of course, we have to start with the Monarch, and that is Pele. I'll just make up the name ones. There are a lot of great ones like Socrates, Cafu, but for me, I'll go with the main four that most people even kiss today can know. That is Pele, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo Nazario, and Neymar Jr. And of course, Vinicius Jr. I'm just playing your leg, guys. Nah, I'm just kidding. Okay, yeah. Neymar, Pele, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo Nazario. Leave down in your comments who you guys think the best Brazilian player of all time is, in your opinion. But yes, back to the context of his season. 2005, Ronaldinho ended with 26 goals and 24 assists, which is amazing. This guy almost matched his goals and assists, by the way. That's crazy. That's insane. He had a total of 50 GA, for those of you who live to hear the word GA. He won the La Liga, and he went on a crazy Champions League run, which ended with Barcelona being finally set here. Unfortunately, they just lost the Champions League. But this guy was amazing. This guy had style, swag, flair, and skill that broke the world stage. This broke media. They didn't know what to do. He had an amazing performance. He dropped a performance at the Bernabeu. You know that amazing performance, the one I'm talking about, where this guy played so well. The opposition, Real Madrid's fans, stood up in the Bernabeu, in our home stadium, for this guy and gave him a standing O. Because that's just how great they saw how great this guy was. This guy was pure vibes, talent unmatched. And his Ballon d'Or season, for me, where do I rank it? This guy in 2005 was undeniably the best player in the world. Best player of that season. Best player of that year. 2006, Fabio Cannavaro. This now was an interesting one when I was searching through it, because I used to hear his name. By the way, guys, I never used to know about some of these people too. I also didn't know about them. And then I researched, and I always thought Cannavaro was this amazing striker, and he won the Ballon d'Or because he had the best season in the world and everything. And then I was shocked to go watch his highlights and see a guy standing next to his keeper, because this guy was a defender. This guy was not a striker. This guy was not a left winger, right winger, midfielder, CAM, CM, CDM. No, this guy was a defender. We saw it in 2019, years away from when he wins his. We hear talks of Van Dijk, that amazing 2019 season. Some might even say some seasons from people like Ramos. Some seasons from people like Maldini. This guy did it. This guy, I was watching those highlights because I did have to. I made sure that I would go back and watch just some form of the football these people played in these seasons before I made an opinion, because I can just say this person was good. Then you go watch the highlights and they were coasting by. But this guy won the World Cup with Italy in 2006. And in that tournament, he did what I think is single-handedly, not just for a defender, but has to be in conversations in almost all football, one of the greatest achievements from a player. This guy conceded 0 goals in the World Cup from open play in the knockout stages. Remember when I talked about how great Shevchenko scoring 32 goals in Italy's league, or because I said the defending was amazing. Put that into context for defending is amazing from Italy. This guy conceded 0 goals, not a single one from open play. Of course, that doesn't mean he didn't concede goals in general, because open play does not count as penalties are not open play. Those are set pieces. You have your penalties, your free kicks, your corner kicks. But open play is you guys are passing around, moving from your attacker, normal attacking, sorry, coming at the defender. No one got past him. He didn't concede a single goal in the knockout stages. That for me, guys, that's what I call legendary. But I would not put him in the legendary season because I still do not think you understand when I put some people in legendary that this was indeed the crop of the crop, the top of the top. But indeed, this guy in 2006, Fabio Cannavaro, internationally great season, broke some records, deserves to be right there with another World Cup guy. You see the power of a World Cup? Ronaldo Nazario, Fabio Cannavaro, right next to each other there. 2007, the year of many great things. The year before the onset, the year that started the onset, basically, of the new era of two football monarchs who would defend and attack football for years to come. And it was also the year that two amazingly gifted and great human beings were put onto this earth. Ironically, I think should be in the 6th and 12th months of the year. And that is none other than Mr. Lamine Yamal and me, of course. Thank you. I'm just kidding. But 2007 did have something special because that was the year when this man right here, let me just lift this picture. This man right here, Ricardo Kaká. Kaká, you all know Kaká. When you think of Brazilian player, you think of Kaká. He could be in that conversation, actually, of the top 4 I put as the monarchs of Brazilian football. But this guy, Ricardo Kaká, this guy won the Champions League. And he won the Club World Cup. This guy had 18 goals and 16 assists that season. And was widely regarded, and for me, genuinely, fairly regarded, as the best player in the world at that time. And it's for that reason, with all else, you can go back and look at the highlights. You can go back and look at the tapes. Ricardo Kaká, right next to another legend, Ronaldinho in 2005, because Ricardo Kaká's 2007 season, Ballon d'Or season, is, in my opinion, undeniable. This guy was undeniably the Ballon d'Or winner, undeniably a great player. And then from there on, the world evolves. And good turns into great. Great turns into amazing. And eventually, you reach a level beyond infinity. And when you look through the window of that level, you see a few words written on a door. And that says, come closer, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo's era. This was the year that begun what would now be known, and undeniably, I do not care what other sports you want to watch, this is undeniably the greatest era of dominance between two players across all of sports. I know to think of the NBA, I do watch the NBA from time to time. I'm now getting more and more into the NBA. I see play 2K. They say that there was the Magic and Bird era. I hope I've got that correct. It was the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird era, the Celtics Lakers era. I'm sorry, they are not touching what happened, because from 2008 to 2017, I say that year, you know why? Because that in that period of 10 years, that decade, this was the greatest achievements and performances and play and rivalship we've ever seen from two human beings. We are so blessed. As people who were born in this era, we are so blessed to have lived in the era that two people who were undeniably the best players in the world were born similar to each other, played in the same era, and to take it even a step further, like just some 3 or 2 years after this one I'm about to rank, got to play in the same league where it was a mandate. It was a mandatory and definite objective truth that we would get to see them play each other 2 times each year for about a 7 year span. They played each other in these years when he was at Manchester United and Messi was at Barcelona. They played in the Champions League twice, 4 games. But it was always when you have two best players. Yeah, they might in most of these sports, apart from like sports where it's a thing that you meet when you have two different leagues. So in the NBA it's one league, but in some of these other sports they're different leagues, they're different promotions. In boxing they're different weight classes, so it's very hard to be definitely sure that you will see two greats perform. Sometimes it's different eras. You can say Maradona and Pele were the best player in the world, but Pele played years before Maradona. Maradona played years before the next guy. But these two, same era, same time, and played for the biggest two rival clubs in the world, in my opinion, personally, Barcelona and Real Madrid, El Clasico, biggest game, best rivalry. That is something we should always, if you have nothing in your life to thank a higher presence for, I will say God, but for those of you who don't believe in God, to thank the higher universe for, let it be that we got to see these two play in the same league for at least good 7 years, because that might never be seen again. It might. Now people will say Mbappe, Haaland. Mbappe plays for Madrid. Okay, but at this point, I think if they were in those clubs, because it seems like Champions League, we're basically in the Premier League and they're basically in the Liga with how much we be playing City. But I mean, in normal context, you're not going to be seeing Mbappe and Haaland play each other a heck of a whole lot. Mbappe and Yamal is the closest we have now. But to see two people be in the same league at the same time, same age range, same prime time, this was beautiful. But I'm getting away from the topic. 2008, Cristiano Ronaldo, Manchester United, broke into the scene. This guy set his name on the world stage. He dropped 42 goals. I want to highlight that. Previous years, I'll just go through the previous years to let you know how dominant they were. 2000, 14 goals. 2001, 28, 30, 14, 32, 26. Cannavaro did not record these goals there because he's a defender. 18 for Kaká, 42 goals. 42 goals, 8 assists, 50 goals and assists. He won the Champions League, he won the Premier League with Manchester United. Some still regard this as his best ever season of football. I'm not saying this is the best Ronaldo, because some people say Madrid Ronaldo is, you gotta just look at Madrid Ronaldo. Some will tell you Juventus Ronaldo. I don't know. I don't know who those people are called. I don't want to say the name they're called. Some people say Manchester United, the second run was an amazing Ronaldo. Okay, now you're just getting on board. If you're still talking about the Saudi at this point, you just love Ronaldo, just say it. But between the Madrid and early Ronaldo, some regard this as his greatest season. Not the greatest Ronaldo, but his greatest season. Because this guy was amazing. He was undeniable. This guy was just the best player. He took over what Kaká was considered as the best player, and he said, okay, I'm going to run with it. This guy put his name on the world stage. Cristiano Ronaldo. They started to know it. Won the Premier League, which was regarded as one of the best leagues in the world. Won the Champions League. And this guy, he was 24, dropping 42 goals and 8 assists. And for that reason, his 2008 season, in my opinion, I just have to see it in undeniable. This guy was undeniably the Ballon d'Or, best player that season, best player in the world. 2009 kicked off 4 years, which will, for Ronaldo fans, have to be the hardest 4 years you had to bear in your life, because these years you had to be faced with disappointment after tear, after crying, after acceptance, after being shocked, after shock of your life, because in those 4 years, starting with this 2009 one, this guy, the second pillar grew. Ronaldo had certified his pillar, and now this guy set his. Ronaldinho won his Ballon d'Or and said, no, the best player in the world, some years later, said the best player in the world plays on my team, and it is this guy, Lionel Messi, and this was proof of it, because in 2009, Lionel Messi won what is regarded as the greatest sextuple a team has won. For those of you who just heard the word sextuple, because it was thrown around this season with Ousmane Dembele, but he didn't do it. Messi did it. That is when you win the 6 major trophies. He won the league in La Liga, the Copa del Rey. He won the Super Cup. He won the Champions League. He won the Club World Cup. And he won the Spanish Super Cup. So the Super Cup I was talking about there is the one which the European, that Super Cup, and the Spanish Super Cup, and the La Liga, and the Copa del Rey, and the Champions League. He won 6 trophies. Barcelona won 6 trophies. He had 6 trophies. This guy dropped 38 goals and 18 assists. This guy had 56 goals and assists that season, which is the highest we've had so far. This guy was amazing. This guy's football in that season. I'm not going to take too long on these because, guys, if I started talking about how Messi played, I'm going to get upset because it's going to remind me of all the times I tried to say Ronaldo was the best and someone looked at me in my eyes with genuine, like, serious face and just looked at me. They didn't even debate. They just walked up to me, looked me in my eyes and said, 2009 Messi, and I had to sit down, call him my king and kiss his feet because what was I going to do? 2009 Messi, let's not waste time. This is going to be the first that enters this crop of the crop. Put him in the history books. Legendary season, legendary Ballon d'Or, in the conversations of the best Ballon d'Or seasons ever. And then he came and did it again. But this one, remember when I said that I was arguing how Ronaldo is the best player in the world, and some guy looked me stone cold in the face, said Messi 2009, and I had to bow down and call him a king and kiss his feet? Well, I put his shoe off his foot, punched him in the face, dropped him on the... Okay, this analogy is going somewhere else. The point I'm trying to make is I laughed at him because the next year, they tell me he won it, but this was a funny year. 2010, Lionel Messi won the La Liga and the Club World Cup. Had the big two trophies. But this one was controversial. Even though he did better than last season, he dropped 47 goals and 11 assists this season, having 58 GA this time. There was another man in the highlights of that season by the name of Wesley Sneijder. And I know Messi fans, they don't like to hear about Sneijder, but I'm not going to be one of those people who say he robbed him. I'm just going to say this guy won the World Cup. This guy won the treble. Sorry, no, this guy didn't win the World Cup. My bad. This guy won the treble, sorry. This guy was a treble winner and top scorer. Sneijder that season, amazing. He had the stats, he had the treble, he had everything. But Messi, he did have the stats. And Messi had another thing that he would have defending him for the future Ballon d'Ors, and that was his football. But I'll be honest. I'm putting this one as his... If you had told me to rank just solely his Ballon d'Ors, it would be his last. Because 2010 Messi, season's context matters. I'm just going to leave it at that. 2011 Messi, this was funny. Now, this one was funny because he heard the murmurs of saying, no, you stole your Ballon d'Or. No, you're favored. No, this guy this guy that. And he looked us in the eye and said, okay, I'm going to do you one better because I took your comments personally. And this guy in 2011, he started showing remnants of what he had 2 years back in 2009 because he won the Champions League, won La Liga, and won the Club World Cup. He had 3 trophies, but that's not what matters. Because this was... Remember that guy? That Messi fan who I punched in the face? He caught my last punch. And he pulled it. And he dropped me on the ground and punched me 5 times in the face and looked me back and said, 2011 Messi. And I went back to my role. I put his shoe back on, tied it, kissed it, called him king, bowed down. Because 2011 Messi had 53 goals and 30 assists. What? Ronaldo fans like me being like, what? I kid you not, 53 goals and 30 assists is inhuman. It is unfathomable. It is fake. It should not be allowed. He should have been tested for steroid use in those growth hormones he took years back, because I think the steroids only took effect now. The boosters took effect in 2011 because why? Tell me why we cry about players winning the Ballon d'Or should be higher in the Ballon d'Or this time around with 33 GA when this guy had 83 goals and assists. I'm just going to rank it. I'm not going to even waste time. I'm just going to rank it because you guys know where I was going to put it. It's going to be undeniable. But what I want to end with is I hate this guy. I hate him because you heard how I've talked about that 83 GA. He looked me in the eyes again. He looked me in the eyes. He looked at us in the eyes and said, I'ma still do you one better. And now everybody starts shaking. Everybody starts saying no. We start praying to God. We say, no, this guy, he has to be joking. He has to be. What do you mean he had 83 goals and assists? He had 53 goals and he's telling us he's going to do one better. What do you mean? And he did. Because come the next year, not come 3 years, 10 years, 5 years, 6, nah, come the immediate season after that. He looked in the mirror before the season started and said, oh, I had 53 goals and 30 assists. Mid. And he did the whole evil hand gesture and laugh thing. Because he went on, I kid you not, in 2012 to win the Ballon d'Or. And season-wise, he just won the Copa del Rey. So he just won the Copa del Rey. That's all Barcelona won. That's all Messi won. Just the Copa del Rey. Didn't win the Copa America. Didn't win the Euros because he's not European. He didn't do anything. Just the Copa del Rey. And you may ask, oh, well, this guy just won the Copa del Rey. Why did he win the Ballon d'Or? That's a lie. And you see, if you put that in the context of today's football fans who are just like absolutely crazy, they would say, no, you can't give a guy with one trophy, the Ballon d'Or, and a minor trophy at that. He didn't even play any English teams to win that trophy. Oh, I think not. And then I go and say, okay, stat merchant, here are your stats. They looked at them and they silently walked out of the room because Messi in 2012, I kid you not, had 22 assists. You thought I was going to start with that one? No. He had 22 assists and 113 goals and assists. Do the math. I'll do it for you. We all know the math. This was the year he certified himself, I think, as not the greatest player in the world, because winning 3 Ballon d'Ors in a row is already insane, but this year he certified himself as inhuman. That's when we all said this guy's not human. We all knew. Not even to glaze, not even to praise, just an actual objective fact. This guy is not human. He came to our world from another planet where they studied football for 2 billion years, found the most efficient and best ways of playing the game, and then they sent him here on some Superman Kal-El type shit, and then he came here and started to play our game with us as petty humans. He had 9. This guy had 91 goals. Now, look at the tier list. Because if you're looking at the tier list right now, you're looking at me. So look at me in the face. 91 goals. For the stats alone, this should be legend plus plus. Because this is the greatest season of all time, in my opinion, personally, like a player can have. Because no one can ever touch 100 GA. This guy outscored clubs. This guy outscored, what can I say, trios. you can get like, oh, this player and this player and this player are front three. He outscored them. He outscored your whole team. He outscored every. But I will not put it in legend plus plus. I will put it, unfortunately. Where will I put 2012 Messi? Right here. I think that's a fitting one. The Ballon d'Or season he had was legendary because of the stats. So I'm going to tell you this. I'm putting him here, but he's in all three. Just know that. But why I'll put him here is because I think he fits perfectly the context of what I wanted this tier to be about. You either had an internationally great season that boosted it to the max, or you broke some sort of record. And this guy broke and set the all-time goal scoring record. To this day, it has not been broken. I think you, me, your grandfather, father, auntie, your grandkids will not watch another player do this. Because even if we say, oh, now they play more games, it doesn't matter. 91 goals is not a joke. And this guy was injured in this season. For part of the season, he was injured. So imagine if he had played a full season of football, a full year of football. This guy would have had like 123 goals, man. Get out of here with this. But then it was 4-1. And the second pillar had to surpass the first, but the first pillar said, no, I have to show the world who I am. I have to make a comeback. And he did, because in 2013, Cristiano Ronaldo's name resurfaced in Ballon d'Or conversations. He won the Ballon d'Or with playing with Real Madrid. He didn't win the Champions League that season, but he did have some very, very clutch performances and he was Portugal's hero in the World Cup. qualification stages. He was amazing with Real Madrid that season, even though we didn't win any major thing like the Champions League or the league. But what stood out for him, just like Messi's 2012, was the production of the player. This guy dropped 55 goals and 12 assists. 55 goals, 12 assists. That is a collective 67 goals and assists, my dear little friends. And I know when you hear the 113 from Messi last season, but now let's take it back to people who are human. I'm not talking about aliens, I'm talking about people who are human. But this guy also now just certified that he's not human. So whereas Messi came from a world, like I said, another planet on some Kal-El Superman type, this guy came from our world, but years later to come back and play our game on some Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator robotic types. Because this guy was an inhuman. He certified that you call Messi an alien, I'm a robot. I'm an android with one line of code written, that is be the best player of all time. This is when he certified that he's a freak. 67 goals and assists is no joke, is no small feat. But 2013 Ronaldo, I am going to be putting him in great year. Because if I did put Messi 2012, not legendary, because they both did legendary things that season, but if I didn't put them in legendary, Messi's broke records. Ronaldo didn't break any records because Messi set the goal scoring record, and he didn't win anything major. So it would be a bit crude for me to put him higher this list. He did have a great year and he deserved the Ballon d'Or that season. 2014 World Cup season was kicking around. You're thinking, oh, whoever wins the World Cup this year is gonna do wonders in the Ballon d'Or. Germany won the World Cup, Messi reached the final. You're thinking it's Messi's, but Messi didn't have the best of years this time around. But this man, he said, I'm gonna do it again and again. You said Messi's the only one you think can win 2 Ballon d'Ors in a row? Nah, he said I can try for it. And he did it. And he did it in style. Because in 2014, Cristiano Ronaldo did win the Ballon d'Or. But this one was an interesting season for me. For me personally, this one was an interesting season. The reason I say that is because in this year, he did a Messi. I'll say he did a Messi in the sense that he said, I'll do you one better. From the 67 goals and assists he had that season, this guy in 2014 won the Champions League. So first he had to check off on his list because he said, okay, Portugal in the World Cup, we ain't going anywhere. But let's be realistic. He won the Champions League that season and he won the Copa del Rey that season. So he said, I got the trophies on lockdown. Now let me lock down the stats. He dropped 61 goals, 6 more than last season, and 22 assists, 10 more than last season. That gave him a combined total of 83 GA. What are we doing? What are we doing? Your friend dropped 113. You start saying, okay, maybe I'm going to not touch 113. I'm going to set my second best record. Touch that. 83 goals and assists. Inhuman. Cristiano Ronaldo's 2014 season for me, personally, I'm going to say, I was going to put it in great year. I was going to say this was a great year for him. It's not his best. To be honest, it's not his best. You know what? I think I'll stick to what I had at first. I'm going to say it's a great year. 2014 Cristiano Ronaldo, great year. I could say broke records. We did have some records set, but no. Was it undeniable? It's also a controversial one. Some people might tell you this one of the 13, there was that whole Ribery thing and World Cup thing going on, but, great year. I'll sit him down there. 2015, the second pillar called back and said, okay, you've had your fun. Y'all forgot that I can win these things like water. 2015, this guy said, hey guys, calling 2009. Remember when I won a treble? This guy, he did it again. He won the treble again. He said, I'm gonna do it again, and he did. He won the treble. Messi won the treble. He won the Champions League, La Liga, Copa del Rey with Barcelona, and Luis Enrique's amazing season. Some might even say Pep, because he's Pep's student. Pep did lay the foundation inside Luis Enrique, and he showed Barcelona signs of that 2009 sextuple. They were on a rampage. And Messi, he didn't slow down either. Because this guy, even though some people might say Neymar was the best player in the world that season, I think it's Neymar's best season. I don't think Neymar was the best player in the world that season. This guy had 58 goals and 27 assists. We're going to write that down for you guys. You can pull out your calculators. 58 goals and 27 assists. That is 85 goals and assists. Ronaldo said 83. In fact, now I'll go back. Messi said 130. Then Ronaldo said 83. This guy said, I'm going to set 85. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I'm asking myself that question. What are we doing here? Why, Mr. D? You know what? Let me not even waste time. And I hate this guy, man. Just get him where he's supposed to go. You guys don't know where he was going. Was there any question about it? He's sitting next to his remnant. This was the regen of that season. 2015 Messi Champions League treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, 85 goals and assists. What are we doing? What are we talking about? This guy was doing what everyone wishes you could do in your dreams of being the best player in the world. He was the best player in the world. It was undeniable. Season's context, he was the best in that season. Great year, amazing year. Seasons of records broken, probably did some of those. Undeniable. Who else would you have given? I know Neymar was there, but who else would you have given? This guy came off being a World Cup finalist in the last year, by the way. So he was holding on to that grudge from that Germany match. So imagine if he was a world champion and then had this season. I thank God that didn't happen. Oh, but guess what? Something like that happened, and we're going to talk about it. Legendary, of course. This was history book writing. Put it in the history books. 2015 Messi, legendary. Never before seen, apart from himself. And then the next year, the first pillar came back and also took the phone and said, okay, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you, Leo. You may have your 5. You may have your 5 Ballon d'Ors. But, and I know I only have my 3, but I will catch up to you. I will touch you, in the most appropriate way. Okay, heavy pause on that. I will reach your level. And this guy did it. 2016 Cristiano Ronaldo won the Champions League with Real Madrid, by the way, for those of you who don't know. Won the Euro 2016. Dominance across the entire season. Didn't get to score in the final. Got injured, unfortunately. But his country still carried them on. His country carried his passion. The team carried his passion. And they won the Euro. Portugal had done zilch on the international stage before this guy played for them. And now he finally gave them a big one. He gave them the Euro. This, to put it to context, is the second tier of international trophies from a World Cup. You have the World Cup, which is everyone, and then you have your Continental Cup. This was their Continental Cup. In Africa, we have the AFCON. In South America, in both Americas, the Americas, they have the Copa America. In Asia, I'm sorry, I forgot what they have. I think it's the CONCACAF. I think that's theirs. And then in Europe, we have the Euros. The European Cup. And to tie it off, again, he certified the trophies, this time the big, major trophies. He dominated Europe stages. He said, I'm going to make some stats of my own. Because this guy dropped 55 goals and 16 assists. That was 71 goals and assists. The last time, in 2013, he had 55 goals and 12 assists. This time he had 55 goals and just like 4 more assists to make it 71. Tie the knot. What more can I say? Sky in 2016. Tell me, we talked about 2008. I'll talk about him being in his bag. 2016. That's Ronaldo. That is Cristiano Ronaldo. Another one. I'm gonna throw out another one here. What are we doing here? Y'all know where he's going. It's not even about being a fan. This is just facts. Right there. This guy put it in the history books. 2016 Ronaldo, legendary Ballon d'Or season. 2017. This guy, he said, I'm going to run it back. I'm going to run it back. He won the Champions League. And he said, oh, there are no Euros. What else can I win? Okay, I'll take the league with me. He won the La Liga for Real Madrid. He won a double. He won the major two. Dominated Spain, dominated Europe. Had 42 goals and 8 assists, which by his standards at this point were low numbers. 42 goals, 8 assists, those are low numbers for him because he had 50 GA, but those are some petty numbers. He's been dropping 71, 83, 72, 70, 60 something. Those are low numbers. Had an amazing season. 2017 Cristiano Ronaldo for me is just the remnants of 2016. Cristiano Ronaldo going a step further and just certifying himself. This is what he called phoning it in. This was a season where he just phoned it in. He said, I'm going to do the usual Ronaldo gig. But it was still amazing. Because in 2017, like it or not, he wasn't legendary. But he broke some records probably. You can't put him here. This guy was undeniable. Messi fans knew it. And Neymar fans knew it. This guy in 2017, it was written in the stars. He was the Ballon d'Or. It was undeniable. I just want to take like 5 seconds of silence because this is the last time I will unfortunately mention my GOAT's name in this tier ranking. So just 5 seconds of silence. Okay. Ironically, even if I've said this is his last time, this was a year where some people thought I should have still mentioned his name. He should have had the 3 in a row, almost touching Messi's 4 in a row, but another man broke into the scene. This year's Ballon d'Or, I'm not going to talk about it. Controversial is just an understatement. I think only this current 2025 Ballon d'Or's list can match the levels of controversy and like shockingly bad placements of maybe the 2018 one and also overarching. But this, at least that one was carried by the fact that it had the World Cup year, and we know the power of World Cup years. We know what World Cup years can do for a person's life. But this year in particular, a man broke into the scene by the name of Luka Modric. Won the Champions League. This guy, in the season, showed beautiful football. And he broke a record. A record I think I would love to. It's not a broke a record in my back, an international record. This guy took Croatia to the World Cup final. You want to know how great that is? I'll tell you a little funny stat. The FIFA games, PES game, Pro Evolution Soccer games, the football games they make, when you go on the countries in their games before 2017, from the time they started getting made, all the World Cup games, the international, go and check this. I think you can check this. 2017 going back, they were not even in the game because they were not a top tier registered nation. What was Croatia? And in 2018, that country that wasn't even in the games, wasn't even seen as it's one of those countries that just qualify, European country, get out of here. They reached the final. They beat Argentina, the previous World Cup finalists of 2014. They beat them 3 goals. It should have been 3 goals to 1 in the group stages. An amazing goal from this guy, and he continued and took them to the World Cup final. Unfortunately, they lost to France, but they still didn't give up. That final, go and watch that game. There's a point, I think, after Pogba's goal where it started to show that, of course, France would win here because France was just too much for them. But the fact that they were like the underdog story, because everyone knew what was happening here, and they were being captained and cheered on by this man, Luka Modric, who had an amazing season. And tied in a knot, they said, we're going to get rid of the attacking bias. We see it In 2024, we're going to get to that. We saw it. But even this one, let's not forget, before that one, there was Modric. Before Rodri's, there was Modric. I mean that in the sense of a Ballon d'Or that was like a love letter to the Iniestas, the Xavis, the Paul Scholes, the Gerrards, these great, amazing midfielders. Oh, and the Valverde. Sorry. These great, amazing midfielders who never really got fully seen as the best because there was this attacker who was just doing amazing things. These were one of those seasons where they said, no, we have to acknowledge this. And they gave it to this man. And he's going right here. Because 2018, Luka Modric had an internationally great season and broke a record because that was his country's first time. Not just getting into the knockout stages of a World Cup, getting past the round of 16, first time in the quarterfinals, first time in the semifinals. This was the first ever final Croatia had ever watched their country play. They were like 2 goals away from being World Cup finalists, which in my opinion, I know there's the controversy of Griezmann, if you say that one, or sorry, Mbappe, or Ronaldo having to win this one. But I think if Croatia had beaten France, no one would be talking about Ronaldo deserved it that year. Apart from like if you just love Ronaldo and think, but if Modric won Croatia the World Cup, there wouldn't be a conversation. But some people, I also just want to make a quick shout out because some people forget. I want to talk about Ivan Rakitic, who in that country, in that team, wasn't as like mainstay captain as Modric, but also goes very under the radar in this span from 2015 to 18. Goes very under the radar. Even 2019, he goes very under the radar as an amazing midfielder in the game that people should remember. These two were the Croatian dominants. They were the Xavi Iniesta of Croatia, and that's a fact. But he will go an internationally great season or broke records. And then you thought the era was over when he hadn't won one in 4 years? He said, my dog, I didn't win one for 3 years after my 2012 one. Why would you be so stupid and foolish as to think that it meant I was done? Because in 2019, Lionel Messi was back in the Ballon d'Or scene, won the Ballon d'Or, and quite literally defined what a player being in their bag meant. This was the tying of the knot of all those previous Messis. He only won the La Liga, like trophies-wise. And he had the golden boot. Because this guy, at his ripe old age, I think he was 36. Was he? Wait, no, sorry, not 36. I think he was 34, maybe 2019, 34. I'm sorry. This guy had 51 goals and 19 assists. 51 goals and 19 assists. 70 goals and assists. What is he doing at this age? What are we still doing? What are we still doing mentioning Messi this time around? This time of the year. But it did come with its controversies. They did say this would have been Van Dijk's. We all know what happened in 2019. But for me, I still say it. This guy was one of the best Messis I saw. I feared this Messi. He absolutely wiped the floor with us in that one El Clasico. And then they wiped the floor with us in the other one with Suarez. But genuinely, this Messi, one of his best. But if we're talking about it in comparison to Ballon d'Or campaigns, a great year. Amazing year. I think I really should just change this to amazing. Great year makes him sound like, yeah, you did a good job, buddy. No, amazing year. 2019 Messi, amazing year. But I wouldn't say he didn't have any internationally great season because there wasn't any major international thing going on. He didn't break any records. But it wasn't undeniable. Some people can deny it. They can make some facts about it. It wasn't legendary in the history books for me because we've seen, in comparison to the people I'm seeing there, the seasons I've seen there, I wouldn't say it was. It was a legendary season in his standards of he was in his bag. When I say he was in his bag, go back and watch 2019 Messi. He mastered his set piece taking. He mastered his penalty taking, which was a controversial thing. We just laugh at him. He always needs to miss the penalties in the big moments. And he mastered his goal scoring. This guy was amazing. But he did have an amazing year. And that is where he'll go. 2020, NA. NA, not awarded, not applicable. This guy was robbed of his Ballon d'Or. For whatever reason, they thought it was a good idea to not have the Ballon d'Or. I still do not know why. I know, of course, because of the pandemic and everything, but I just mean I don't know why they couldn't just present it to him, seeing as the FIFA Best Trophy was presented to him and the UEFA Men's Best Trophy was presented to him in a hotel room with like about 5 people from the corporation giving it to him and recording his speech and everything. Did a whole COVID type live show. I still will not understand why they were not giving it, but because the man is there. And I will rank him where I think he should have gone if there was the Ballon d'Or for that season. Robert Lewandowski. I don't have his stats with me here because I just searched stats for the Ballon d'Or winners, but we all know what he dropped. I think he broke Jared Muller's Jared Muller's goal scoring record. He broke goal scoring records. He was the best striker in the world. He played for the best performing team in the world, who were coached by the best coach in the world at that time. That season, he was a monster. He was a beast. He was certifying himself. He said, okay, I see the shouts about Benzema here and there. No, I see the Suarez shouts. This guy's always been taking. This guy's an underrated, very great striker. But he said that season, I will show you that Robert Lewandowski is a monster. He was a dangerous beast. And I'm so happy that we never had to play that team. Because look at what that team did to Barcelona. Look at what they did to Chelsea. Look at what they did to Tottenham that year. This Bayern team were monsters. He's 2020 here with all he did and the treble he won. I could sit it there. If Robert Lewandowski had won the Ballon d'Or, like with what we've all watched that season, which, by the way, season's context does matter, but that's not why I'm going to put him, because that season wasn't the best season overall for football, but what he did that season as a striker and what he won that season as a player and as a team, Bayern, what they won, that treble, they dominated Europe. And that would be legendary. But personally, I would just put him he's on that level halfway. But if you're halfway, you're not there. He falls right there, in my opinion. 2020, Robert Lewandowski was to be honest, if not maybe the most undeniable Ballon d'Or winners for his season. 2005 Ronaldinho. If we check the list, maybe there's someone there who people can shout, but it's not valid. 2007 people could shout, not valid. 2008 same thing. 11 with Messi, there was. 2017 Ronaldo, you could make some shouts here and there, but 2020 Robert Lewandowski. Look at the Ballon d'Or list. Tell me who in that year. Tell me one player. You know what? I want to search it. I'm just going to search it real quick, guys. I know this video has been long, by the way. For those of you who are listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, this is podcast length. But for YouTube, allow me for this one to have a longer YouTube video. Please don't click off. I know, we're having fun here. It's going to be a longer one. The Ballon d'Or is going to be a longer one. All my Ballon d'Or episodes have been long form videos. So just enjoy this one. I'm going to search, give me the top 5 Ballon d'Or. Top 5. Let me just say top 5 for the 2020 Ballon d'Or. Like if we had to make a top 5. If there was one. If there had been one, sorry. It's loading. It said in that year, it was a widely accepted projected top 5 for what would have been the Ballon d'Or from that year. It said, of course, number 1 would be Lewandowski. It said number 2 would be Kevin De Bruyne, which is fair. They had a beautiful season. City went on. They got knocked out early, but then the next season they even did better and went on to perform with them. Number 3 was Lionel Messi, who still had an amazing season. Number 4 was Cristiano Ronaldo. And number 5 was Neymar at PSG. This is actually very valid. I think this would have actually been the top 5. This was a good project that they did. But this is how it goes. Neymar had 19 goals, 12 assists, reached the UCL final. Ronaldo won the Serie A with Juventus, was the MVP of the league that season, had 37 goals and 7 assists, which was 44 goals and assists, which is actually, I think, is the lowest. Like from lowest so far in the line. I told you, petty numbers for him. Messi that season was La Liga's top scorer, and really had to carry a weak Barcelona side and had 31 goals and 27 assists, which is 50. Okay, this guy even in his worst seasons had 58 goals and assists. Cool. De Bruyne, amazing season. equaled the Premier League assist record, so he would have been an internationally great season and broke records, and had 16 goals and 23 assists, which is 39 GA, which for midfielder is actually low-key kind of insane. But Lewandowski had 56 goals and 11 assists. This guy had 67 goals and assists, won the treble, UCL, Bundesliga, DFB Pokal, and was the UCL top scorer. So he did break the records. He did break records. He was undeniable. This guy could have been very undeniable. When I'm looking at this projected list, he was undeniable that season. I stand by what I said. He is undeniable. 2021, we enter the new era, post-COVID era. And guess who's back? Man, I hate this guy. Man, Lord, do I hate this guy, man. Oh, 2021. We know who won it. You can see his little stupid picture there. It's a Lionel Messi. This season, by the way, which people might have said he robbed Lewandowski of, they forget something. I don't think he robbed Lewandowski of this one. I think he deserved it for two reasons. One, they might have not won the league. They won the Copa del Rey, so he had that. But then he finally did it, and this is why I'll make an overarching point. As even as a Ronaldo fan, I feel you're kind of moving the goalpost. You're kind of playing a double standard on this one. Why is that 2016 Ronaldo picture there in Legendary as a great season? And then you tie it off with the fact that he won the Champions League and won the Euro, but the same courtesy is not given to Messi, who also finally won a trophy with Argentina. I know part and parcel is because Argentina already were world champions, whereas Portugal had nothing. But still, they didn't win anything. They were just going out and in and out. They were reaching finals after final and losing. They were getting knocked out. They were trying their best, not winning. But then they finally did it. It was the one thing they wrote on his transcript. It said Messi, greatest player, alien, all this, six-time Ballon d'Or winner, but has never won with Argentina. By the way, 2019 was the record 6th one because he was tied with Ronaldo at 5. Because the fifth one, his first 3 made him the record 3-time. I think no one else was a 3-time, maybe 3-time. Okay, 4-time. The 4th one in 2012 was the record 4th one, and then the record 5th one, and then Ronaldo tied that, and then he had the record 6th one, and this was his record-breaking 7th Ballon d'Or, which we all thought, okay, has to be his last one. He's getting pretty old now. I'll come talking about that in some time. He never had anything with Argentina. And then he did. They won the Copa America and a very dominant season at that, beating Brazil in the final. I think it was at Brazil Stadium because it was being hosted in Brazil. Very underratedly not talked about season. For me, that Copa America run they had, very, very crazy. And this guy in that season had 38 goals and 14 assists, which are petty numbers for him. These are bad numbers for him. But that, my friends, is 52 goals and assists. 52 goals and assists, and that's a slow season. Let's stop. What are we doing here, man? I'm not saying that to put him on top there. Don't think this is another one we're doing, but genuinely, right next to Modric. You can't say it was, I wouldn't say it was undeniable, because I have to give Lewandowski like a big shout out, because I think Lewandowski did better numbers in 2021 than his 2020 year, which is kind of crazy to think about. And he didn't win the Champions League. He didn't even win the league with Barcelona. He clutched up at that international period of the year, but he was amazing throughout the season. This guy, internationally great season, broke a record, personal record even, if you have to say. Probably broke some other ones. But this guy in 2021, he was like Messi. It was just Messi. This was one of those Messi Ballon d'Ors, where it's, who won it is Messi. How good was he? Messi. That's just the answer. And then in 2022, one of my personally most enjoyable Ballon d'Or ceremonies and Ballon d'Or winners, because this was a heartfelt one. From the depths of the prime of those 16, 17, 14, 13, Cristiano Ronaldo, 18, Ballon d'Ors, Modric that you're seeing there, in that Madrid dominance, there was one man who would go under the radar in their attack. You would see Bale, and Bale was this amazing guy. Bale had the goal in the Champions League 2018 final. He owned it. Ronaldo, he is Cristiano Ronaldo, and their striker Benzema was carrying, but it was always just, yeah, he's carrying. He's also good. He's great, but I don't know if he's on that level. And then football reached its new resurgence point where the new age broke in. So there were all these new guys and all these older guys, the Suarez's, the Zlatans, the everyone. They started going down. Lewandowski joined Barcelona, had an amazing year. Wait, did he join? Yeah, I think he joined Barcelona in 2022. But yeah, had an amazing year. No, he joined in 2023. Yeah, had an amazing year with Bayern. Continued football was at a down spell. Messi and Ronaldo were in and out of the public. Ronaldo went back to Manchester United, started going to what I call the decline of his career. Messi was just having Messi. But then this guy said, you know what? I'm going to prove to people it's a never too late. Karim Benzema that season won the Ballon d'Or. He won the Champions League. He won the La Liga. And he won the UEFA Super Cup. He had 44 goals and 15 assists. His own personal record. This is the highest he's ever reached. Because that's a total of 59 goals and assists. An amazing season. And you all know what happened that season. King Karim the Dream Benzema. The fact when he was winning it, when they announced, and the Ballon d'Or 2022 champion is, and everyone just started to sing, Karim, 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 because it was known. It was factual. You knew that this guy was the Ballon d'Or for that year. I mean, I know Kylian Mbappe was doing amazing things with PSG that season. I know De Bruyne and Sadio Mane and Mo Salah. I think that the other two were Mane and De Bruyne, yeah, and Mbappe then. They were doing amazing things, and they had their things. But the one commonality that they shared was in the round of 16, Benzema scored a hat-trick to knock out Mbappe. In the semi-final, Benzema scored 2 goals. Maybe 3? 3 goals, actually, across 2 legs to knock out Kevin De Bruyne. And in the final, he didn't score, he scored by his offside, but he didn't score, but he beat, to win the Champions League, Sadio Mane. So no matter whether or not those guys had their amazing seasons, I want you to deep that. I don't know. I think maybe one of these other seasons someone has done it, probably Messi and Ronaldo, but deep that for a second. The second, third, and fourth in that year, I think should be Sadio Mane, Kevin De Bruyne, Mbappe. Benzema knocked out Mbappe by scoring a hat-trick in the second leg of a Champions League game. Knocked out Kevin De Bruyne by scoring 3 goals across 2 games in that City tie in the Champions League semi-finals, and then beat Sadio Mane to win the Champions League. What were they gonna say? Personally, if one of them 3 or their fan bases had to deny it, what were you genuinely going to use as a defensive point? And for that reason, and with all else, there's only one fact about it. It may not, in terms of glitz and glamour of the player, be as outright as some of the names you see in the tier I'm about to put him in. But for me, 2022 Karim Benzema, there's nowhere else I'm going to put it but undeniable. Just like the previous striker sitting right next to him, to his left there, on the 2020 side of things, Karim Benzema in 2022, he was the undeniable best player of that season. And then the next year came. After Benzema won his Ballon d'Or, the season was about to end, but then due to some unforeseen circumstances, the World Cup was pushed to after the season's end and pushed to late of 2022. It lasted, should have been from 18th November to, or from 19th November to 18th December, we had the World Cup tournament. And that carried over into the next season. And because of that tournament, something record-breaking, something for me, at this point it's not even irritating anymore, because I just got used. It gave the world Lionel Messi winning the Ballon d'Or. Guys, you know the saddest thing about all this is I stopped talking about Ronaldo like 6 Ballon d'Ors ago. I'm not even roasting because I love him. By the way, you guys are getting the guy. I love this man. If it wasn't for Messi, I still stand that he's the best player in the world in my heart, because I've accepted it, but I'll still never say it fully and just accept it 100%, because I still love Ronaldo. But I stopped talking about him 6 Ballon d'Ors ago. And since then, I've talked about Messi 3 times, in 19, 21, and this one. This guy, in 2023, won the Ballon d'Or. You can talk about all the people he robbed. They say he robbed another striker. They say he stole it from Erling Haaland, who, by the way, might I add, had one of the most amazing seasons, the most dominating seasons I've seen personally since Robert Lewandowski in 2020. Ironically, they're both Dortmund boys. They're both Borussia Dortmund boys. Maybe they've been putting something in their strikers' legs because that was Lewandowski 2020-esque. Haaland won the treble. He finally won City their first ever Champions League, which, by the way, breaking records, he would have tied that there, right there. He would have got it. Great year. He won the Premier League. That's already a big push because at this point, the Premier League is now seen as one of probably undeniably, but we still argue about it, but it's seen widely regarded as one of the toughest and best leagues in the world. And then he won the FA Cup, and he had that treble. And then they won the Super Cup, so he had that quadruple. This guy was winning things left and right. I think they won the Club World Cup. I think he won 5 trophies. Oh, wait, no. Forget about it. Scratch that. He wanted another one. They won 6. He won a sextuple that season. I think I can confidently say I remember Pep Guardiola had that sextuple because they won the Super Cup against Sevilla, won the league, won the Champions League, won the FA Cup. Did they win the Community Shield? I think maybe they didn't win the Community Shield. I think Manchester United must have beat them in the Community Shield. But this guy in the Club World Cup, this guy had 5 trophies, 5 or 6. We'll check it. You know what? Let me just check it. I already told you guys this video is gonna be long. I can spare to check it. But this guy in that season, he was amazing. But it wasn't enough. Because how do you touch greatness? How do you touch the amazing season Erling Haaland did? You get Lionel Messi to wind the clock all the way back to his prime and ball out. And ladies and gentlemen, as truly as I sit here on this podcast talking to you right now, that is what Messi did that season. He balled out. He had a great season. And some people will talk about the fact that maybe on the club level, this or no, this guy, I think he had 38 goals this season. Maybe allow me to confirm this, guys. Just a quick second. Let me confirm this. This guy had 28 goals and 12 assists. Lionel Messi dropped 40 goals and assists, which, by the way, again, just like Messi, just like what I've been saying about these two, was a downer year, was a sleeper year for him. It's a bad year. You go take a lap. 40 GA Messi, come on, go take a lap. 40 GA. Haaland had 60 something. So he was just 20. I know he was 20 something GA off Haaland, which is crazy to think about because he was 38. Or sorry, not, it was 34, 35. Had all that and topped it off. Finally, the Copa America back in 21 was enough to give him a Ballon d'Or. Imagine when he finally checked that final box. The box's name, by the way, was Messi's never won an international major trophy with Argentina. And he checked it, but then people decided to say, no, we're going to hate some more. We're going to put a small subset box inside that box and say, we were talking about the big one. And truly, I say to you people, a year after the Copa America season, the 2021 Copa America, we had, because the Euro and the Copa America that year were pushed, we had the World Cup 2022. And on December 18th, 2022, Lionel Messi won the World Cup. Unfortunately for Erling Haaland, the Ballon d'Or for that season was being counted from when the World Cup started, because it was gonna be counted from there to the end of the season. So you had to count it. And when you count that Ballon d'Or, and I always say this, if you remove the World Cup and say, okay, who's the best player in 2023? The best player in 2023, undoubtedly, of course, is Erling Haaland. And that's just a fact. But when you say, and they had to announce that the criteria of that season, the 22-23 season, is from the World Cup's beginning to the season's end. I'm sorry, Erling Haaland, there's nothing you're going to do. It's Messi. It's Lionel Messi. He was the best player in the World Cup that season. He was not the top scorer. So he was about to break a record. I think no one else has been not World Cup winner, top scorer, and best player in the tournament. I don't know. You can check that for me. But this guy was about to be the World Cup winner, top scorer, and best player. He won best player of the tournament. He won the World Cup, and he didn't win the top scorer, the golden boot of the World Cup. But you know why he didn't win the goal scorer? Because Kylian Mbappe won it. But ask me by how many goals much. I talked about it earlier in this episode. By one freaking goal. Kylian Mbappe, who was a 22-year-old in that World Cup, by the way. A 22-year-old alive and fast and flashing Kylian Mbappe scored 8 goals in the 7 games they both played. Messi, who was like 34, a whole 12 years older, scored 1 less goal than Kylian Mbappe. In 7 World Cup games he played in, because he played in all of them, in 7 games, he scored 7 goals. Lionel Messi averaged for a World Cup a goal every game. Statistically, because that's 7 games, 7 goals. That's a goal per game. That's 1. It's the easiest math you have to do. But what was funny is he didn't even score against Poland. So he scored against Saudi Arabia. He scored against Mexico, missed Poland and said, okay, I have to match up my numbers. Scored against Australia, and then went and scored against Netherlands, scored against Croatia, and said, oh, how do I match up? Oh, I have to score 2 to match it up. Okay, score 2 goals in a World Cup final. I know. We're praising Mbappe in that match. We praise the guy, I've forgotten his name. I think it was English. That's all I know. It was English who did it in '66. Those two scored. They're only players to score a hat trick in a World Cup final. But please, 1 goal isn't so too much. Messi won the World Cup for Argentina, carrying them in his probably what could have been his final World Cup. Because I still think to this day that if that guy lost that final, that would have surely been his last World Cup. A World Cup he shouldn't statistically have been able to do what he did in, because if in 2014 he didn't put those numbers up, in 2018 he didn't put those numbers up. Tell me why at his oldest, at the time of that World Cup, because he hasn't played in this one yet, at his oldest age in a World Cup, he had his best World Cup. He scored a brace in a World Cup final, the biggest game, whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not, whether you want to call it a 6-7 tournament or not, you know who I'm talking about. That is the greatest game any football player will ever play. Technically speaking, I'm not even saying it's a hot take, it's the truth. That is the greatest game of sports you will ever be able to take part in. And this guy, at the ripe old age of 34, 35 years old, scored a brace. I'm not wasting any time. That's where it's going. Let's not lie to ourselves. I'm saying it again. I'm bringing it back. What are we doing here? Season's context matters. If the season's context mattered as a whole, Haaland would have been there with Michael Owen and 2010 Messi. If great year was the matter, that's an amazing year to have in 2023. You know, he had a good year with PSG all around and a great year with an amazingly great year with Argentina. If we're talking about internationally great season, I mean, if Modric's 2018 season is over there and Ronaldo Nazario's 2002 season with the 8 goals winning the World Cup is over there, Messi's 7 goals World Cup would definitely be just right there, because it's the same thing. Ironically, he did it 20 years after Ronaldo Nazario did his. If undeniable was there, you can shake it and say, okay, Haaland could have been seen it, but let's be honest, he was undeniable. It's Lionel Messi, the greatest player, showing the greatest performance ever seen. So if he's checked the box ultimately on all those, there's only one he can be placed in. And that is, write it in the history books, open it back up, write it probably for the last time. Legendary Ballon d'Or campaign. Historically amazing Ballon d'Or campaign. Lionel Messi signing off. And then the next year, now it was sure. Now we were for certainly sure because Messi's playing in America, Ronaldo's playing in Saudi Arabia. Their era we're sure. I don't know what 2026 World Cup is gonna bring because it could bring something very, very scary for us Ronaldo fans. But for now, I'm gonna call it. We were wrong so many times, but now I'm gonna call it. This will be the last time one of these two ever touched the Ballon d'Or. That was the last Ballon d'Or to be ever touched by Messi or Ronaldo. And the next year, it was certifying. Okay, their era is finally over. Finally over. Neither of them, for the first time in I think 15 years, was even on the top 30 list. 2024, Rodri wins it. And this reminiscent of Modric's year in the sense that this was a midfielder playing their best ever football. The previous season plays into context here because he had an amazing season in that treble winning City side, and then in the next season he went and won the Premier League, won the UEFA Super Cup that we carry on from that one, and won the Club World Cup that we carry on from the 2023 success. They're counted in that season. And to top it all off, with all that you're seeing, you've heard all of that, right? I hope you've heard all of that. This guy went and topped it off with the Euros. A Euro with Spain where he was very, very important. And even if he's a midfielder, he had 12 goals and 15 assists, which is 27 GA, which for a midfielder is amazing because some people, so I think bar number 7 on that, maybe number 6, 5, yeah, number 6 from this year's Ballon d'Or list going down. I don't think people are 27 GA. So let's be very respectful about how we treat that guy's GA from last season. Rodri 2024, amazing. But then there was some controversy. A little bit controversial because Vinicius Jr., I'm not going to talk about the Bellingham one. Bellingham had an amazing season, but let's be honest. But Vinicius Jr. had an amazing season, had impeccably good stats that season, and won the Champions League, and won the league, and won the Super Cup later on, but that counts for the next season. It was looked at as, who really deserved it? The best thought it was Vinicius. The Ballon d'Or thought it was Rodri, but for me, I'll just now say it 100%, not 100%. I still can't say 100%, but I will say it was Rodri. And that is why I won't say it's legendary because I can't put it next to these guys in legendary. I just can't. But I can't say it's season's context matters. No, it doesn't really because he did play in a very good season. Great year. Yes, I could put it in great year because when you look at the people he's with now, great year doesn't really look anymore like I'm just trying to say, it would be ironic because originally I wanted to put him in great year. But why that would have been ironic is if you see the year 4, the years with 4 in them seem to have a trend. In 2004, great year for Shevchenko. 10 years later, Ronaldo in 2014 had a great year. And then 10 years from there, 2024, Rodri had a great year, and I could leave him there. But now looking at this and seeing it, I'll be fair. He's half and half of both of these, but I can put him right next to Messi's 2021 in the sense that you had an internationally great season that was just better than having a great year. He had an amazing year with a great international tally. That's where I'll put him. Finally, we go to the most recent one. 2025 Ballon d'Or winner, Mr. Ousmane Dembele. Where would I put Dembele? This guy, just put some context, won 5 trophies with PSG that season. This previous season, won the Champions League, League 1, Coupe de France, Super Cup of France, won the Club World Cup. Wait, did they have a Club World Cup? Oh no, they didn't win the Club World Cup, won the UEFA Super Cup. Yeah, he had 5 trophies. Was about to win 6. This guy had 37 goals and 15 assists. Amazing numbers, similar to some prime Messi, Ronaldo type of numbers because that's 52 goals and assists, which is amazing, crazy. But as do all these Ballon d'Ors, most of them have, there was controversy because some people believe that number 2, the 18-year-old wonder sensational kid who I talked about in 2007, Mr. Lamine Yamal, should have won that one. I personally don't think so. Not because I hate Barcelona, it's one of the reasons, but it's because I think his teammate was more deserving. They thought number 3, those people who looked at PSG from a midfielding standpoint said, okay, Vitinha sort of did what Rodri did in terms of good play. Let me just search. Give me Vitinha's 2024-25 stats. Vitinha that season, let it just load it up for us, had, I want a total. I had a total. He had 7 goals. It's telling me 7 goals, 4 assists. I don't know if that's factual. You guys can confirm that. So he had the weaker side on numbers, but had good performances. Also won a major international trophy in the Nations League with Portugal. Won 6 trophies, so he did deserve to be up there. Some others, Premier League fans, Liverpool fans, would say Salah deserved it. There was a lot going around because Salah had, like, I think more GA. He had crazy goals last season. And then number 5, who I thought should have been the winner, Mr. Rafinha, who won an absolutely dominant season, had a domestic treble with Barcelona, just like Mr. Lamine Yamal, and then had the goals and assists beyond Lamine Yamal, touching Mohamed Salah's, and I think maybe just being 1 goal less in terms of GA, 1 GA goal and assist less than Dembele. You can check that. Those guys' stats were running around the whole season. I'm not sure if the official ones, but Dembele was an interesting season. Was he the best performing player that season by far? Was he the best player in the world? Is he the best player in the world? I always say, unless Messi or Ronaldo retires, until that day, they are still the best players in the world. Was it legendary? No, it wasn't. Let's be honest, it's not legendary. We've seen it be done. This was like a common 2017 Ronaldo type of year. Was the season's context mattering? Yes, it did, but didn't play a part to help him because he was in a very competitive season for wingers, by the way. He had a great year. Did he break any records or have an internationally great season? I don't think he really did. Was he undeniable? I'm just going to be honest, it's a flat out no. It was not undeniable that Dembele deserved it because I feel personally the Vitinha one would have made the most noise. Like, people be like, oh, they're just trying to be different now after that Rodri one. But Salah, Lamine Yamal, Dembele, and Rafinha, you could have slapped it on any one of those 4. Maybe Salah would have been the most controversial, seeing as he only won 1 trophy. But you could have slapped it on any of those 3, Dembele, Rafinha, Yamal, and people would have said this is a deserved Ballon d'Or. There would be some consensus of people saying this is a deserved Ballon d'Or. This is a historic moment. But for that reason, you guys can't see him. He's not on this list, but I'll put the edit. Dembele, for me, I'm slapping him right next to Messi's 2019 in great/amazing year. Because that's how I think I can best describe that year and this season of him. It's just amazing. If you ask me, was he the best player of that season? Yes, he was. He had an amazing year. He's had an amazing year. He's having an amazing year and season. He had a great season. It wasn't any record-breaking thing. It was not undeniable that he was the Ballon d'Or that year and that season, and he's not in the history books. He's in great year. And for me, ladies and gentlemen, that is all. Wow, this has been a long one. I need a sip of water. Just give me a second. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are your 26 most current Ballon d'Or players ranked. Just to go through them one last time. At the bottom, season's context matters most for these ones. We have 2001's Michael Owen Ballon d'Or and 2010 Lionel Messi. Great year. We have Luis Figo's 2000 Ballon d'Or, Nedved's 2003, Shevchenko's 2004, Cristiano Ronaldo's 2013, Cristiano Ronaldo's 2014, Lionel Messi's 2019, and Ousmane Dembele's 2025. Internationally great season of broke records. We have Ronaldo Nazario's 2002, Fabio Cannavaro's 2006, Lionel Messi's 2012 year, 2018 Luka Modric, Lionel Messi's 2021 year, and Rodri's 2024 year. In the undeniable Ballon d'Or winners category, we have Ronaldinho's 2005 year, Ricardo Kaká's 2007 year, Cristiano Ronaldo's 2008 year, Lionel Messi's 2011 year, Cristiano Ronaldo's 2017 year, Robert Lewandowski's supposed to be 2020 year, and Karim Benzema's 2022 year. And, ladies and gentlemen, at the top of the top and for me, I think this, what can I call this? 2 decades. Yes, the last 2 decades, 2020s, 2010s, the last 3 decades, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. I think these are the best Ballon d'Or winners, like grouping them in 30 years. Generation is 30 years. So this generation of Ballon d'Or winners could be potentially the greatest. So I do think when I say these legendary ones of this era, they will be the legendary of all time. I don't think that's a far shout. Maybe you can add 1 or 2, like maybe Maradona's season there. Oh, but Maradona didn't even have the Ballon d'Or. So yeah, you can have these as the best Ballon d'Or winners of all time. Because for me, the best Ballon d'Or winners of all time, or Lionel Messi's 2009 Ballon d'Or, Lionel Messi's 2015 Ballon d'Or, Cristiano Ronaldo's 2016 Ballon d'Or, and Lionel Messi's 2023 Ballon d'Or. Quick little mini ranking before the thing ends. If I had to rank these four, from what I've seen, what I've researched, and what I've put down, I would say Messi's 2023 Ballon d'Or goes fourth. Ronaldo's 2016 Ballon d'Or goes third. Messi's 2015 Ballon d'Or goes second. Okay, his 15 and 23 interchangeable because of the records, but because of stats wise and trophies, I'll give it to 2015 be number 2. And ladies and gentlemen, I will say it. I will be able to say it. It's not a hard thing for me to say. I do believe that what possibly could be the greatest Ballon d'Or winner, most legendary Ballon d'Or winner, is Lionel Messi's 2009 Ballon d'Or. You can change it. Personally, in fact, no. 2015, you going fourth. Yes, wait, let me check the stats again. Yeah, 2015, you're going fourth. Ronaldo, you're going fifth. Ronaldo 2016, you're going fourth. Messi's 2023 and 20. I'm gonna tie it. I made a mistake. The single-handed greatest Ballon d'Or I've seen, it's a tie. It's a tie, but it's just like a toenail finish for 2009, because 2023, Messi winning historically 8 Ballon d'Ors, which is a sentence that's just impossible to think of for anyone from the past doing that, and anyone in the future gonna do that. Whatever. But yes, my favorite Ballon d'Or, my pick for the top Ballon d'Or winner will be 2009 Lionel Messi. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video with a friend if you want them to see it. Comment if you agree with any of my thoughts. If you want, comment down what you think of every single ranking I did. This has been the longest episode Real Talk has ever had. I think it's a valid one. Please watch it to the end if you're here. Thank you very much for making it all the way and bearing my rambling at times. This was Real Talk ranking every Ballon d'Or winner of the 2000s era. Comment your thoughts, like again, share, follow for those of you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all these other listening platforms. Subscribe for those of you on YouTube. Thank you for listening. Peace.